Horizon Chance 1 CG reaction, and this is how far away can you get from everybody else by the channel Real Life Lore. Yeah, how far away can you get? So this is on the planet Earth, I guess, or it's in the entire universe. I'm pretty sure it's on the Earth. But if the question is how far away a human has gone far from anybody else, I think it's that Apollo mission that I was talking about. Astronauts are already on the moon, and there was just one guy who was in the other side of the moon, the dark side of the moon. He was technically far away than any human has ever been. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's the case. So as far as on Earth, I would think they would be somewhere in the Pacific, because I don't think it's going to be Antarctic, because there are scientists there. Where else could be the... Probably in Pacific, somewhere south or north. I think South Pacific. Yeah, somewhere. I think near, or maybe North Pacific. The South Pacific, there are islands there, isn't it? It's Samoa and things like that. I don't know. I don't remember geographical map properly, but yeah, somewhere in the Pacific, I would think, or maybe north of Russia, somewhere where the bomb was fired at Tsar Bomba. There are very less people there since it's way cold. I don't know. It's gonna be fun. I've created quite a few real life lore videos already. If you haven't seen them, check out the cast. There's a playlist. I created a full real life lore reaction or something like that. Check out the playlist too, like CGP Grey, Kuzgazat, internet historian, Salmonella, things like that. And yeah, let's watch this one. It's a real life lore video. It might get blocked, so I have to put checkered box there, but I guess we'll see. Okay, let's watch it.
This is a video by RealLifeLore, sponsored by the Great Courses Plus. Many of us probably think that humans are everywhere on this planet. There are billions of us, and it seems like everywhere you look there are other people, and there is no wild or wilderness left in the world, with everything being already discovered. But this is simply not the case. The world is an enormous place, and there are still places just as remote and far away as they were.
Oh my god, there's so many places that hasn't been mapped. First of all, most of the ocean is unmapped. There are lots of places, there are lots of mountain ranges where, nobody has gone there ever. So nobody knows if there is something there, nobody will ever know. So lots of jungles. I'm pretty sure most of the Amazon is not mapped. So yeah, lots of places that humans has not gone. I mean, obviously we've spread out too much. I mean, humans are at the Antarctic already. So obviously we are spaced out. But yeah, not as much. There are lots of remote places. There are tribes, I think, which no other civilization from outside have ever contacted. They're still living like, people used to live long before, tribal type.
Thousands of years ago. So then, how far away exactly can you possibly get from every other human on the planet? For the maximum terror factor, let's imagine that you have suddenly been teleported to the following locations, and then imagine how or if you would escape. Perhaps you still want to be around a few people, but far away from everybody else in the world, in which case you would likely want to visit the island of Tristan da Cunha, which is the most remote place in the world that is actually inhabited by people. The tiny island has a tiny population of just 264 people, and while you're there, the closest other population of humans will be located 2,000 kilometers away on the island of St. Helena, which itself is quite remote. The nearest continent to you would be Africa, which would be a staggering 2,400 kilometers away. There is no airport on the island, so the only way to or from is by boat, and boats only come from South Africa about 8 or 9 times in an entire year. If you really want off the island, then you better have your own boat, and even then, the shortest journey to the nearest airport on Ascension Island would take you 7 days to reach. Now let's next imagine that you are placed.
Maybe if you have lots of duct tape, you could, I guess, get off the island. Yeah, I mean, that is so effed up, isn't it? If you're stuck on the island, I mean, there are lots of things that you need to know about. All those, who's that guy? I keep forgetting his name. He's pretty famous, who survives places where he gets dropped off, eats all the thing that he can find and things like that. I forgot his name. But yeah, you need to know things like that, and I guess how to find drinkable water. What if there is no drinkable water on the island? You can't just drink water from the sea. You need to do some kind of a process to make that water drinkable. I'm pretty sure there could be some kind of techniques. That guy probably shown in some episodes, I guess. But yeah, living in the wild, what is that? So I don't know.
Placed in the center of Devon Island, which is part of the Canadian archipelago. This island is roughly the same size as Croatia, and yet it has absolutely 0 people living on it. Nobody. It's just you and complete solitude with nobody else as far as the land goes. Walk in any direction and you will never find anybody else to help you. The closest other humans
Hold up there. I'm a real science fiction fan. Obviously, most people are. It's if you have some form of have a mystery science fiction type of mind, and you watch movies and shows like that. I've watched every single episode of X-Files, every single one, even the newer ones. So in that there was an episode. Obviously, this is not just premise of the X-Files. There are other movies like that too, where you get stranded somewhere when no human goes, like I don't know, some scientific facility in Antarctica or something like that. I don't know where they went. I don't remember episode perfectly, but they got stranded. There was some kind of alien type thing that was infecting, killing everybody. But that's not the point. The point is they got stranded. So everybody was dying one by one, and nobody was coming to rescue them for a few days. So I think of that scenario. If I were in the Devon Island, walking there, and that would be the first thing in my mind that go through, like, what if I'm in something scenario like that? And imagine if you just see a footprints there, suddenly some footprints going in front of you. There would be chill going back on my spine, like, oh hell no. Obviously, if you knew the island is empty, then that would happen. If you didn't know, you'd think like, oh, there are people there, you'd be happy, I guess.
To you would be here on the island next door in the town of Resolute, population 229, which is every single person who lives on the island. But even still, the town is 80 kilometers away from the island that you're on, and you would need a boat to get there. Maybe you think that the South Pole would have to be one of the most remote and faraway places in the world, and while that used to be true, the South Pole today is home to a permanent research station that is always staffed by as many as 150 scientists. The place in Antarctica that is far more remote and difficult to get to or out of would be this exact spot here, which is the furthest point on the continent away from the ocean. It is located 878 kilometers away from the research station at the South Pole, which would be the nearest other humans to your location. You may find some solace that there is at least already shelter pre-built here, although most of it has been buried under the snow. The Soviets first reached this place in 1958 and built a bust of Lenin facing towards Moscow, which...
What the hell is this? This is creepy as F, man. Imagine you lost where you're going. You lost your that's scientist station. You just walked and you know that you're lost now. You just walked for, I guess, days, because it's 600 or so miles. Then suddenly you see something, you just come close to it, and it's a statue of Lenin like that, just staring at you. I would panic, I'm not gonna lie, I would panic, like what the hell's happening? I would be scared.
Which is the only thing that still stands today above the snow, gazing into the vast nothingness in every direction. The last time that humans ever visited this point was back in 2011, so unless you want to wait around for years to be rescued, then you should probably get moving to that South Pole research station. However, this isn't the most remote piece of land on Earth. That distinction has to go to this island in the South Atlantic called Bouvet Island. It is small, frozen with ice, and completely uninhabited by all of humanity, although Norway claims it for herself for some unknown reason. The nearest other piece of land to you would be Queen Maud Land here off the coast of Antarctica at 1,600 kilometers away, but that island is also uninhabited, so there's no use going there. The nearest other humans to you on Bouvet Island would be 2,260 kilometers away on Tristan da Cunha, which, as we previously discussed, is also incredibly remote in its own right. For reference, that distance would be about 54% of the distance from the west coast of the United States to the east coast, with no other humans in sight, and just to arrive at the most remote inhabited place on Earth that still has no airport and that only has boats come to it 8 or 9 times a year. So far, we've only been talking about being on land.
Yeah, but if it's that remote, how did you end up there by yourself in the first place? How would you end up? Maybe you were, I don't know, taking a trip to Antarctica, you and your friends said, yeah, screw it, I'm going to take a boat, directly go to Antarctica. Your boat got sunk, all your friends died, and you're the only one left, I guess. At that point, I'm not gonna lie, I would have no hope, because it's all fun and things in the movies and things where people get rescued. Chances of you being rescued is close to none.
But we haven't yet considered the ocean. If we forget about distance and just think about the sheer obstacles between you and every other person, then the bottom of the Marianas Trench, nearly 11 kilometers below the ocean's surface, would be a truly lonely place. Only 3 people have ever been to the bottom in all of human history, and the last time was in 2012. Strangely, that does mean that there have been 4 times as many people that have been on the surface of the moon than have been to the bottom of the ocean. But let's take it back to distance for a moment, because the ocean is truly gargantuan and far bigger than many of us realize. This point in the Arctic Ocean, for example, is the furthest point in that ocean away from any land. It is located on a shifting pack of ice, so a permanent structure is impossible to build. If you were to ever reach here, the closest inhabited land would be Ellesmere Island in Canada, home to a population of only 146 people. The closest actual settlement on that island, Grisefjord, would be 1,638 kilometers away from you at this point. Further, nobody has actually ever reached this point yet in all of history, so if you want to become an explorer and put your name down in the history books alongside
Wait a minute, this is Alaska, right? That's Russia, so this is Alaska. So it's even north than Alaska. How cold would that be? God damn.
Magellan, then get out there and reach it first. And finally, and most terrifying of all, the most remote point and furthest away from the rest of humanity that you can likely ever achieve is deep in the Pacific Ocean,
there
which
you
for
go,
reference
obviously.
on a globe looks
Look at this shit. If you look from the just perfect angle from the side, entire globe looks like an ocean to you. That's how big Pacific is. That is just ridiculous. Entire one side of globe is Pacific Ocean. That is humongous. That's the thing, people don't realize how big Pacific is for this same reason. When you make a flat map, obviously you're gonna take out the sides where the Pacific Ocean is, because why draw area with water much if you're trying to save space? So just cut off where ocean is and just show the edges. So people think if you just bend the map this way and that's how the ocean is, but no, they cut off lots of ocean to make the map smaller. Otherwise, why would you feature so much ocean in there if there is no reason to it? But otherwise, look at that. In reality, ocean is humongous.
like this and almost takes up half of everything you see. This exact point here is known as Point Nemo and is by far the most remote place on the planet. The closest inhabited land to you at this point would be Easter Island, which is a mind-boggling 2,689 kilometers away. To put that into perspective again, that is about 64% of the distance from the US West Coast to East Coast, with not a single other person and just vast, empty ocean. If you think that possibly some shipping routes or cargo ships may pass by to help, then here is a map of what these trade routes look like. Notice the dark points around not only here, but also the point that we discussed earlier in the Arctic Ocean and Bouvet Island over here. The record for the fastest time that anybody has ever made it to Point Nemo was on a boat, and it still took 15 days, 10 hours, and 37 minutes to reach, plus all of that time to make it back from where they originated from. It's weird to think that if you were at this point sitting in a boat alone, the closest other humans to you would actually be the astronauts on board the International Space Station as they occasionally orbit the Earth above you. The station orbits at a maximum of 416 kilometers above the Earth's surface, which is far closer than the 2,689 kilometers needed to reach Easter Island. In fact, the space station would be the closest humans to you at several of these other locations as well, but here especially if you were stranded, then they would be too far away for help. The fastest anybody could possibly reach you would take over 15 days. The closest help you could get yourself would be the same as venturing nearly 2/3 of the way across the United States. And to top everything off, the Lovecraftian city of RealLifeLore is located not too far away from this point, so you may have far worse things than sheer isolation to worry about.
Oh yeah, HP Lovecraft. Okay, Cthulhu. Okay, so that's Cthulhu. You made a reference about Cthulhu. Yes, the fictional city is city whatever is located there, huh? I didn't know about anything about Cthulhu and HP Lovecraft. I think I heard about Cthulhu in South Park episodes. I'm like, what the hell is this? But then I played that game. It's not a major game. It was an indie game, but Sinking City, which was an awesome game. It features all this HP Lovecraft lore. From that I realized, oh wait a minute, this is HP Lovecraft thing, this Cthulhu and everything, fiction is, yeah. So this is ridiculous, look at that.
About at this point. So with all of that being said, I must thank my incredible sponsor.
Yeah, people, go to the greatcoursesplus.com/RealLifeLore and support that channel. Yeah, this was a great topic. I knew it would be somewhere in, obviously in Pacific, but yeah. North of that Arctic point, north of Alaska's already way too cold, at least for me it is. How cold would that be? God damn. I would die in matter of hours if I just suddenly go there. So yeah, this was a great video. Alright people, if you like my Rickson, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the Rickson Day, there's a link in the description. Check out the cards for all the playlists, check out the end cards, and I'll see you next time.